All right, so the following is from the medieval Irish Apocrypha by Zen Garcia. Well, it's compiled by Zen Garcia. And in this book, there's a lot of different testimonies of people in the Middle Ages that went to hell. But this, what I'm going to read right now, I thought it was super interesting, and I had bookmarked it before. It's called the 15 Tokens of Doomsday. And I just think that it's interesting how God describes himself when he comes back. O foul will be the resurrection of the sinners on that day. A great and vast army of Adam's race will be proceeding distressfully through the seas of heavy, fiery, perilous storm, and through the vast, unendurable waves of the red flame, which is in the four parts of the world, to the meeting of the justly judging mighty Overking unto Mount Zion. O then the household of heaven and earth and hell will gather into that meeting, and then the King of glory will arise with his final cross on his shoulders in the presence of them all, and thus he will arise with all his red body around him, with the traces of the stabs and the wounds of his passion upon him, so that all the deep, incurable gashes, the great tortures which they themselves inflicted upon him, may be manifest to the Jews. Then Christ will sit down with his 12 apostles around him, and then will be the great conspicuous end, to wit, the Monday of doomsday, the day of destruction and vengeance for the sinners, and the day of respect and great honor for the righteous. That day there will be a sad and manifest cry from the rabble of the world at being cast bound and cruelly fettered into the awful death of hell, into the unfriendly hands of their foe the devil, tortured continually, and with hell shut upon them forever and ever. Then the saints and the righteous will diligently and always praising their Creator, they begin cheerful and glad after gaining victory and triumph from the devil. Oh, the whole human race is arranged in four assemblies there in the presence of Christ, to wit, the good and the very good, and the bad and the very bad. See, that part there is very interesting. It labels people into four parts: the good and the very good, and the bad and the very bad. Oh, sad it is that the provision of the ready, ever decisive judgments which are then delivered will not be upright, pleasant, righteous, discreet, gentle, patient, loving, abstinent, fasting, humble, and penitent. Oh, on one side there will be cast the envious and the false judging and the quarrelsome and the incestuous and the harlots and the satirists and the buffoons and the heretics and the marauders and the robbers and the jealous and the liars and the noisy and the lampooners and the she-lampooners, the haughty, the gluttonous, the angry, the homicidal, the parricides, the deceivers, and all other evil ones. Those then are cast to the demons to inhabit hell forever and ever. And that, folks, is swept out of the world, for they themselves have forsaken the reward of heaven and the sight of their holy and mighty Father. And they will be 1,000 years in the eternal fire of doom, for that is the length and period of the judgment, of the day of judgment. See, that's important. The length of the torment of hell for these specific people it's speaking about is 1,000 years. And it says in Peter that a day is as 1,000 years with the Lord. So it's speaking of that one day, but that day of judgment is 1,000 years. And people don't understand that like judgment and hell is not specifically forever, like a million years or something. It's like for certain like fallen angels and things like that, perhaps, but not for human beings, because we're made in God's image. So, oh, neither calm nor easy is that road, for there they get neither food nor drink nor resting, but constant hunger and thirst without relief, and cold and unendurable heat. See, that's something they don't talk about either, is that hell has heat and cold. And it says somewhere else that woe unto them who steal even in hell, because when they go to the snow, they steal the snow, put it in their armpits, and then they go back to hell. And it says woe unto them for stealing even in hell. So they're going to get punished even more. Hold on a sec. Oh, sad will be the sharp cry of lamentation, and the great howl of grief, and the hard, vehement wailing, and the sorrow of mind, and the suffering of heart, and the enduringly wretched hand-clapping of doom, which the sinners, after rejecting God's mercy, make at being dragged strongly and urgently to the everlasting torture of hell. And they will be mightily praying for pardon, and wretchedly reproaching the Lord for not forgiving them in this life for the outrages they committed upon him. O 'tis then on that day the locks will be shut on the sinners, to wit, the shutting on them by casting them into many awful torments of hell, and the shutting of their eyes against the world, and the shutting from beholding the heavenly kingdom without their seeing it thenceforward. That's gotta be terrible. Let's see, we got 6 minutes. All right. Oh, then they will sit in the presence of the king of evil, to wit, the devil, in the glen of infernal torments, where there is dark, lightless fire, and life sad, ever distressful, foul, sooty, virulent, impure, and where there will be trembling on tooth, and hard shackles on body, and grief on mind, and darkness on cheeks, and miserable mournful moans, and constant weepings, and lasting hand clapping, and heavy tears of blood over cheeks at their suffering, and cries at hearing them. Oh, the devil will then make heavy-headed, cruelly fettered, bound captives of the tortured sinners in their lasting passion, in the narrow-chested, rough-headed, iron, awful prison of hell forever and ever. White faces of the constant suffering, with the aspect of a dead man they have, and horrible, many-headed monsters with thick crimson snouts upon them. And one great monster there, with 500 heads and 500 fangs in every head, and 100 feet, and 100 toes on every foot, and 100 nails on every toe. Howbeit, the whole human race could not set forth the multitude of hell's many torments. Ever-living fire, will be continually blazing therein, and it does not illumine, and if the sea were spilled against it, the sea would not quench it. Wow. I'm going to read that part again because I can't talk. Howbeit the whole human race could not set forth the multitude of hell's many torments. Ever-living fire will be continually blazing therein, and it does not illumine. And if the sea were spilt against it, the sea would not quench it. That's how much fire is in hell. Wow. This is the second torment thereon, to with unendurable cold, as saith this testimony, Psi mitteretur, etc. That is, in a mountain of fire, a flame were cast therein, hell would make of it ice and snow. I know that sounded weird, but it makes sense when you read it. The third torment, that of poisonous snakes and vermin and many monsters of hell, to be gnawing and wounding the souls continually. The fourth torment, the lasting unmeet stench of hell. The fifth torment, the urgent smiting together of the demons, like the sledging of smiths in a forge, and the continual smiting and massacring of souls. Now that part right there is super important, because this part right here, the fifth torment, which talks about a smithy like in a forge, that part is actually in something I'm going to read in a minute too, which is, I think it's the testimony of Dryhelm or something like that. Or no, actually, sorry. The Vision of Tundale, that's the one. Because he's like a super evil sinner, and he goes to this place where these smithies, like these like huge demons, like with like tools for making like knives and stuff like that, or like, you know, blacksmith tools, are smashing on souls and destroying them, and then burning them, and then recreating them, and then doing it again, and they're laughing the whole time, and it's really, really bad. And the dude that went through this, he was like, and just reading it, it does make you feel sick to your stomach, to be honest. It's really gross, but I'm going to read it in a minute. Hope you enjoyed that. Once again, this is from the medieval Irish Apocrypha. Take care.